we were running like 165 people. I think that was August of 2022 to now. Now we run around 1,300 on a Sunday morning.
Wow.
We've almost 10x'd. There's a lady, I was shopping for my kids for Christmas, and she comes up to me, she's like, I think I know you. And I'm thinking like, nah, you don't know me. She's like, you just look so familiar. And she goes, you're that pastor that's been inviting me to church online. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, this thing is working, right? And she eventually came and visited our church, and it's a great thing. But those are kind of stories that we get all the time.
Welcome to the ChurchCandy podcast. Today I'm sitting down with a phenomenal pastor, Pastor Robert White of Freedom Church here in the Fort Worth, Texas area. They've been using ChurchCandy and God has been doing some amazing things, so I'm super excited to sit down. Yeah, Pastor Robert, how's it going, man?
I think it's great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It is cold.
Man, it's cold. Welcome to the cold weather.
I know. It's crazy. Dallas is only just a few hours from where I'm at in the Houston area, but it drops a solid like maybe 10 to 20 degrees on the drive up.
Well, I'm originally from Southern California, so this always messes me up.
Yeah.
The cold weather sweeps through Dallas. I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, it's sweet. Glad you're on here today. Glad we're sitting here and chatting. Tell me about Freedom Church, man. What was, the vision that God gave you to start Freedom Church to begin with?
Yeah, so I was a youth and young adult pastor at a church here in Arlington, Texas, called Cornerstone Baptist Church. And my pastor actually had a friend who was a pastor of a church who had a stroke. He was left unable to talk. And so they had like 12 people. It wasn't a lot of people. And they were trying to decide what they were going to do, what they wanted to do. And we originally thought we were going to be a campus, start a campus of our church. And I'm a young pastor, like excited about helping my pastor with this new innovative idea. And my pastor looks at me, and it's a shorter version of a longer story. He says, hey, I just really think God's calling you to take this and make it a church and do what you're going to do. So I went and I gave that church a proper funeral. And then we started working on creating a launch plan to plant a new church. And we did that in 2013. And the vision was really to reach Northeast Tarrant County. And I say that because our vision has since changed. It was just to reach Northeast Tarrant County. It's like, hey, we want to put a church up in this area. And I had one lady kind of come to me and she was like, well, because we're an African-American led church, we always wanted to be diverse, but we knew we'd reach probably more Black people than we reached anybody else. And she said, there's no African-American church that survives in that area where you are. And I was like, wow, that's my first word of encouragement. And I'm like, no, we're going to see what God does. And the vision initially was just to like plant that church, establish a place in Northeast Tarrant County where we could reach people for Jesus. I mean, as simple as that, right? We say that we exist to move people into freedom through the love and power of Jesus Christ. That's all we wanted to do.
Yeah.
We just wanted people to live free. And I realized a long time ago, I grew up in church. I'm a church boy, that you can be saved and not free. And so we wanted to lead people to salvation because that is going to help people with their eternity. We also want to lead people to freedom because that's going to help them live on earth. Yeah. And so that was the vision.
Do you know who that woman is? Like, or was it just?
Oh yeah. No, I know exactly who she is. I want.
So you call her out. Hey, over 10 years later, hey, this Black church is surviving and thriving, man. That's awesome. Early days of church planting, man. What was that like? What kind of struggles did you guys have to overcome?
So we planted through the ARC, Association of Related Churches. So we had a really great launch plan. The beauty of it was we had like 213 people on our first day, and we thought like, man, this is going to be it. We're going to go 213. Next week we'll be 250. The end of the year we'll be 500. And we went to 65 the next week, 50 the next week. And I was like, we're going to close so fast.
She was right.
Crazy. She was right. And so for us, the early struggle really was just kind of establishing like beyond launch day, beyond creating this excitement around like, hey, we're coming. And everybody's like, yeah, y'all are here. What are you going to do? And we're like, we're going to have church. And they're like, what else? And we're just like, oh, okay. I got to raise up leaders. And then when you're a church plant, you're reaching a lot of new believers. Yeah. And so now I'm dealing with discipling people who I actually need to lead areas of the church that require a little bit more maturity than they're ready for. And so that gap was huge. And so we just had to labor through that, but we did grow. I mean, things were great up until about, 2020?
Yeah.
A little weird year there.
Yeah. How was that for you guys?
It was great. We had just started doing online before that. We weren't streaming or anything prior to that. Well, we were streaming prior to that. We started in September of 2019 streaming. And so we're like, hey, we want to stream, want to do this. We weren't doing it very well. So I told my team in January, I was like, hey, we're going to shut the stream down. They begged me not to. So they were hearing from God. I was.
Yeah.
I was like, we got to shut the street
That was a little
down.
prophetic.
We're doing it right. We're like, we're not doing a great job. I was like, it just doesn't sound good. You know, worship teams sound a lot better in person sometimes.
You got to have like a separate mix for that live stream. Yeah.
Right. And we had to figure all that out. We're just got a camera in a room and trying to do what we're doing. And I was like, shut it down. And we got this message from a guy online, so ironically. And he goes, hey, I'm an invalid. I can't get out of bed on Sunday mornings, but I watch her on stream. And this is like my church family, even though I can't be there. And they're like, Pastor, we can't turn this guy away. In my head, I'm like, listen, one guy for the bad advertisement we're getting, no way. And then 2 months later, everything shut down and everybody had to go home. So that was prophetic. That was actually what made it good for us. But we thought everybody was going to come back. We had grown about 350 people at that time. But then when we came back, there's like 40 people came back to church.
Yeah.
And we had to start all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fast forward a few years when you and I got connected.
Yep.
What made you guys touch base and reach out to ChurchCandy?
Yeah, so we were in a season where we were I'm the kind of person, there's an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. I kind of have the same philosophy as it relates to church growth. So I am really big on getting coaching and mentoring and things of that nature. And Stephen Chandler, a good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, he pushed me to kind of stretch for growth. We were doing one service at the time. We had grown back up to about 160 people. And he was like, man, I want you to start a second service. And we're like, we don't need that. We got like more chairs in the room we can do this. He's like, I think you just got to stretch for growth. And I'm like, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to fill this room, right? Because I got people and I'm going to tell them, I need you to, to invite your friends. And they're looking at the empty seat next to them. And they're like, invite my friends to what? Like, I mean, you invite them to the second service. They're like, well, they could come to this one with me. I'm like, no, you're going to worship one, you're going to serve one. So I'm casting the vision, and I think people are getting excited because I'm telling them we want to reach more people for Jesus. And again, he's stretching me because he said I'm thinking too small. But I'm like, I'm going to ask them to invite, but we got to have another strategy for getting people in the room. And so then we heard about ChurchCandy, and it was like, hey, you know, this plan your visit thing and these pastors online. I started watching little things, and we're watching and we're looking and we're like, you know what, this might work for us. So let's see. And we reached out to y'all, and it's been, I mean, basically history from there.
Yeah, man. What's your experience like working with the ChurchCandy team?
ChurchCandy team has been great. So I have a staff member who takes care of our communications. I talk with her. She talks to her representative, and they're working through different things that like, hey, you know, your ad's doing well here. It's like having a communication staff person for social media and advertising, right? She's talking to her on a regular basis. They're working through what ads are coming out, working out sermon series that I'm getting ready to preach. They're like, hey, you know, I usually know when they've had a conversation because somebody knocks on my door. Hey, Pastor, we need you to record a video.
Yeah.
Hey, Pastor, we need you to give us a little blurb about this. Hey, Pastor, what's your vision for that? And I know ChurchCandy's been like, okay, hey, we're getting some traction here. We want to build on that momentum. And that's been helpful because we just wouldn't have known how to take advantage of what was going on online for us. We'd have just, you know, throwing ads out there and seeing if they stick. But y'all have given us the ability to create a strategy around reaching people.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. What kind of fruit have you guys been seeing in your church from ChurchCandy?
Yeah, so if you take and I was like I say, it's a village, so there's several factors, right? The Spirit of God. I hope every pastor realizes you got to have the Spirit of God and a good product, right? I think there's a Spirit of God and a good product that are part of that village. You got to have good mentors. That was that. And then you got ChurchCandy. From the time when we called y'all, we were running like 165 or so people. We started that second experience. From that day, I think that was August of 2022 to now. Now we run about 1,300. On a Sunday morning.
Wow.
So, you know, we've almost 10x'd with working through ChurchCandy and those other things. And a lot of it, I'll be honest, the reason why I can give the Lord credit through ChurchCandy is the fact that we got a little next steps party after church. I'll go in and I'll say, hey, you know, how'd you hear about freedom? How'd you hear about freedom? And they'll say, oh, I saw an ad on Instagram, or I saw this ad on Facebook, or hey, there's a lady, I was shopping for my kids for Christmas. And she comes up to me. She's like, I think I know you. And I'm thinking like, nah, you don't know me. Like, this is weird. Like, you don't know me. She's like, no, are you from Louisiana? I'm like, no, I'm not from Louisiana. I'm from California originally, but I've been here for several years. She's like, you just look so familiar. And she goes, you're that pastor that's been inviting me to church online. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, this thing is working, right? And she eventually came and visited our church. And it's a great thing. But those are kind of stories that we get all the time.
Yeah. I love it. I love it about hearing the new guests. Do you have any specific stories of people that have found your church from those ads and that God has just done like incredible things in their life from your ministry?
So honest truth is, man, I could sit here and name like a lot of them. I mean, just there are regular and countless stories of people who come and they hear about our church through Church Candy. They see something that they were interested in, and they come and they tell me that in our Next Steps party. And then next thing you know, they're in our membership class, and then they're serving. And then there's one lady who actually works in our Next Steps team. I mean, the same place that she came through. She saw the ad, she heard where she needed to come. She visited that church. She came in that mode, and then she showed up, was in the Next Steps party, like was welcomed and greeted. She loved it so much. She wants to do that for other people. And you see so many people who now Church Candy is not just an avenue of invitation. It has created avenues of invitation. So people see the ads and things of that nature. So now they're willing to make an invitation because they see how easy it is through what we do with Church Candy, especially the people who've been affected by it, right? They came through an invitation by me online. It makes it easier for them to extend the invitation to their friends and their family. So it's not just one avenue. It actually sparks another avenue of invitation.
Yeah, for sure, man. One thing I love about Church Candy is we're really good at getting new guests to show up that first time.
Yeah.
Right. But what are you guys doing to get them bought in, connected, and come back again? But before we go into that, I want to take a second and tell you about how Church Candy is helping over 400 churches get multiple new families visiting every single Sunday. So Church Candy will partner with churches. Churches will hire them to set up Facebook and Instagram ads. From there, the ads will invite people to the church, and then new families come so quickly. Like you could turn an ad on a Tuesday with Church Candy, and then you already have families showing up that next Sunday. It works really quick, and we're helping over 400 churches all across North America. And I wrote a book that breaks down Church Candy's entire strategy called Plan Your Visit Playbook. You can go to planyourvisitplaybook.com/free to get a free copy of the book. This book, whenever we hire someone at Church Candy, is their very first assignment to read and do a full report on it. All that being said, we do not gatekeep in this book. This is our entire strategy that has helped over 230,000 people get connected to a local church. And our goal is to get that number to 1 million. And we would love for you to partner with us on that. If you want to schedule a call with someone from the Church Candy team to learn more and see if this would be a good fit for your church, you can go to churchcandy.com or hit the first link down below in the description. Now, back to the podcast.
That's one of the things that we had to really wrestle with, because like you look and you got no systems in place to help people who show up, then you're really wasting what it is that you all are doing. So we had to come up with bold call to action, being a welcoming, loving church, like preparing. And we've always been that. That's not been one of our problems, like welcoming new people, but really getting them to take next steps and to say, hey, here's what we want for you. So we've created some rhythms and things, systems for first-time guests so that they can feel loved and get some information dripped to them, not drown in it, right? We want to drip them, not drown them. And so we want to make sure like here's some information about the church, about what a next step might look like for you and where you might go from here. So we've created those systems in place and built up teams. And I think the best way to do that is from the people who've been affected by it. So when we get new guests who really enjoy the process and go through it, we kind of plug them in that area because they're fresh. They understand it, right? There's a Febreze commercial. It shows like this guy who's got like socks all over his room. His room smells like socks. He doesn't know that his room smells like socks because he's been in it so long. Then the lady comes and Febreze it, all the socks goes away. I think people who've been in our churches a long time, they got that old sock syndrome. They can't smell the old socks, but you bring those new people in, they're like, hey, this is what a new person needs. And we plug those people in those teams and in those areas.
Yeah, man. I love it. I love that you guys are getting bought in. What advice would you give to other pastors who are trying to grow their church and reach people in their communities?
Yeah, I would say the first thing is to know who you are. I think when you want to invite somebody to something, you don't want to invite them to something that somebody else does really well, and then those people are confused because they do it better than you. I mean, just being honest to that pastor, like you're trying to be somebody else, you're trying to be this other church. They're better at you, better than you at being them, and you're better than them at being you. So the first thing is just really knowing who you are. I'm really okay with how I preach, who I am, what I do. I mean, there was a period of time where I wanted to be more this or more that, but I'm just really comfortable within my skin. So I think, and when I go back, and I think every pastor needs to know, like, what's your identity? What's the thing that you feel God has called you to, and like rest in that. Like, be okay with that. I think the next thing you got to do is build a team that actually can make that happen. You're only one person. That pastor who's thinking, and this has been me, Like, I've got to do everything. I've got to know everything. I've got to implement everything. It's got to be my idea, or I've got to research it, or else what's my value? No, what are the things that you can do and you're supposed to do? Do that. Build a great team around you that can take care of the weaknesses and the things that you can't do. That's why when you talk to me about ChurchCandy, honestly, Jocelyn Elmore should be sitting here talking about ChurchCandy. She does a phenomenal job of working with y'all to make sure that our social media and our ads and all this stuff is effective. And I built a team around me that has the ability to get that done.
Yeah, I think in any organization, if your senior leader is the only one that makes things happen,
Right.
well, that becomes a constraint, becomes a bottleneck. I've seen that in our business. I've seen it in churches we work with. And like people feel like, oh, well, no one can do it as good as me.
Right.
Right. Well, I've heard it said that, hey, someone else's 80% on a task is better than your 100% because that frees you up to go do other things that only you as the visionary can go and do. So I love the way that you guys do that. It's funny that I've had a handful of other pastors that I've connected with, asking them to come sit down with us. And they're like, I mean, I can sit down and talk to you, but I mean, my communications pastor, or like the connections person, really is the one doing it. But there's a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. It's a business book, but I think it's great I think every pastor should read it. And one of the things it talks about is the role of a visionary is to be the vision caster, right? But then also like you're the face of the organization, right? And some people will frown upon that whenever it comes to ministry and stuff. But people connect with people. And
well, can I say something theological to that? Like, everybody gets all upset when the pastor is the person who is the face of the organization, but people make a connection with the person long before they make a connection with the principle. And so what happens is, even John the Baptist, right? He's like got these guys following him, and nobody calls John evil because he was the face of a movement of repentance. John just knew his place. He said, hey, I understand that you're following me, but I've got to decrease so that he could increase. He makes the statement that, yes, Jesus is preeminent. Jesus is the one you got to follow. But nobody was mad at John for these people being attracted to him first. They're attracted to John's ministry. They're attracted to his message that John says, there's somebody greater than me. That's the same thing that I should be doing at Freedom. They're connecting with me, or they're connecting with you, or they're connecting with some pastor. That our job then is to point them to Jesus. You might be attracted to the face of the ministry, but then point them to somebody else. But to your point, like, the visionary face of the organization needs integrators. I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Speaking the EOS language, I love it. So for you guys, kind of on that same note, what do you say to people that criticize big churches or churches being just about the numbers and stuff? Because what was the growth rate you guys kind of saw from using ChurchCandy?
It's crazy, man. I mean, if I put a percentage on, I mean, like I said, we've almost 10x'd from the time we started using ChurchCandy to now, and that's literally been only like a little over a year and a half, 2 years. So I mean, we've been in a serious growth season.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't like preacher numbers, these are like, we track every weekend. And I'm looking at my mentors and I'm telling them, like, hey man, what do I do with this? This is getting a little bit beyond me. I'm sorry, what was your question again?
Question was, like, people say, oh, church is just about the number, large crowds. Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole book in the Bible called Numbers. So Jesus had 12 disciples. We know that there were 3,000 people saved on the day of Pentecost. We understood there were 5,000 of them that were going through. Like, if God wasn't about numbers, he wouldn't have tracked them. He wouldn't have cared. And then here's the thing, like, the same people who are taking these stats will be like, 70% of kids leave the church after the high school. Well, you're all about the numbers.
Yeah.
No. But the numbers matter, and the numbers don't lie. Data is a tool for us to see how we're measuring and winning against the things that are opposing us. Now, the reality is the gates of hell will not prevail, but the gates of hell will also show where we're missing the bar.
Yeah.
Where we're missing the standard. And so what we've got to do is we got to take the numbers and say, hey, listen, in our county, I give you a statistic, in Tarrant County, I said something earlier. Remember I said that we wanted to reach Northeast Tarrant County. Now my vision is we want to transform Tarrant County one by one. So like we're saying, we want to transform this entire county one by one. What does that mean? That means that we want to continue to grow as large as God will call us to grow. I don't know what that looks like. I don't presume to have that, but I do have this in mind. There are 1,200 churches in Tarrant County. There's about 2.7 million people that call Tarrant County home or will in the next couple of years. If I divide Tarrant 1,200 into 2.7, those are the churches to the people. There's 2,250 people for every church, which means I can't be playing small, and either we're going to plant more churches, but we know that churches are dying at a faster rate than we're planting them.
Yeah.
So churches need to be reaching more people. If we care about souls, that means that 2.7 million people and 1,200 churches divided evenly in there, the average should be 2,250. We know some will be larger, some will be smaller, but I got to play my part. And if we're saying that anything over 50 people is sinful, then it's sinful to reach people with the gospel, because we've got to reach these people. What are we saying about these souls if we don't go after them?
I got another devil's advocate. This isn't from me. This is from the Instagram comments that I know are going to come. 1,200 churches in Tarrant County. You guys are growing like crazy. Are you guys, with using ChurchCandy, getting a lot of people to start coming? Is that just, are you stealing from other flocks? Are they coming from other churches going to you guys? What are you guys seeing?
Our baptisms are up. Like, I mean, listen, you got some churches that aren't baptizing people in years. We baptized over 40 people this year alone. We're only in February, right? And I mean, last year we saw 352 salvations. This was last year, 352 salvations, 165 of them actually followed through with baptism. This year alone, I don't know my exact salvation number, so I don't want to lie about it. But I mean, every week, you know what I mean, we're doing a call. People are coming to know Jesus. Like, this is not just transfer growth. And if they are transferring, they're transferring without having heard the gospel. So thank God they heard it in our church. Listen, I get it, and I understand that whole thing about transfer growth. But here's the thing that also, we got to understand context of where we live. We live in the fastest growing area in the country. Like, there is so much growth in DFW Metroplex. People are moving from all over the place. So to say that our church is growing and we're getting transfer growth is an unfair assessment, right? One, we are seeing salvations. 352 people gave their life to Christ last year, and 165 of them were baptized. The other thing, though, that we need to understand is there are going to be some people who are moving from California to Texas who had a church there, but they need a church here. There are people who moved from Chicago to here who had a church there who are looking for a church here. People who are moving from Houston to DFW, they had a church there that are looking for here. So when we say things like transfer growth, we're insensitive to the people who need to transfer their growth.
Yeah, right, man. Yeah, that's huge. I love just everything that guys doing through your ministry. Let's take 30,000-foot view approach. If you could go back in time and tell 10, 13 years ago, whenever you guys first planned to do church, what would you tell yourself? What would you do differently? Like, how would you go about that season?
Craig Rochelle says something. He says, I want to make sure I say it right. We overestimate what God wants to do in the short run, and we underestimate what God wants to do in the long run. And I think I tell myself 12 years ago, like, why are you in such a hurry? Like, what are you rushing toward? And I think I take time to be a healthier individual myself, more spiritually solid myself. I take the time to read books like Traction right away and build in systems that I knew weren't going to necessarily be, they won't be there right away for the amount of people and things we had, but looking toward the future just to make sure we had health in our organization. Those would be the things that I would tell myself. Again, just slow down and enjoy it. Be present. There's so many things that have gone by, and in this rapid season of growth, it's like, man, there's really a lot of head turning and moving and changing and shifting, and those moments of sitting and enjoying, just like being in this moment, they're like, they don't come as much as they used to. So now I would tell myself back then, like, hey man, be patient. God's up to something. You can't see it. Every bit of discouragement, every bit of like frustration is for something. I learned something out of every season of our church. But I thought maybe those are the times it was like, should I back it up? Should I go away? I had two churches offer me to take me away from the church. One, to be a successor for a senior pastor, the other to go on staff. And I consider both of them. And I tell my younger self, you're doing the right thing by saying, no, God's going to do something with this church. So.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. What would you say to a pastor that's considering maybe using ChurchCandy? What would you say to them?
I would tell them it's worth it. I would tell them that they got to really evaluate like why they want to do it first. And if I'm being really honest, you want to evaluate why you want to do it. Because there's a point where it's like, hey man, I just need to get in front of people and get more people in the room. And that's definitely a opportunity. But the biggest thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we are reaching people for the gospel. So if you can say, hey, I'm reaching as many people as we can and I need help to do more, then go out there and use ChurchCandy. Use a place like ChurchCandy to get the word out. That's where we are right now. We're saying, hey, we've come to the place where we can reach as many as we can with the strategies we have. We need a partner now to do that with.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, one of the things that I'll be honest with, not you guys, but other pastors that we work with, it can be hard for our team to get that content for like to use in the ads. So we're going to do a segment that I like to do on the podcast where I'm going to ask you questions and my team's going to clip it to use in your ads.
All right.
So we're going to pretend that I'm a local, like, Fort Worth podcast host or something.
Yeah.
Ask you questions about the church, and you're going to answer it in a way that we can clip and use for podcasts. Because one of the reasons I love doing these podcasts is I can clip what you're saying,
Yeah.
and I can use it in ads, and it performs really well because podcast clips perform well. So there's a marketing lesson for you guys. Don't make your ads look like ads. So let's go ahead and jump in. So Tarrant County, your church is crushing it, man. Why would someone want to go check it out?
Well, Freedom Church is a church where you can come and be yourself. Like, we call our church Freedom because we believe that freedom is the ability to live completely and fully as the person God created you to be. And that's what we want for everybody. We want them to live out who God created them to be. And so the first thing I want people to understand is that they don't have to do life alone, that there's a group of people in Tarrant County who love God, who love them, and who want what's best for them. So they should definitely come and check it out if they don't have a church home, if they don't have a place where they feel loved and belong.
Perfect. I don't even think we need to do another take. That was great, man. That was great. Well, Pastor, man, I appreciate you for taking time to come on here. How can people connect with you if they want to reach out?
This is Freedom DFW is where we are everywhere. It says YouTube, Instagram. If you want to try people's names and put that at the end of your email address, you can try that as well. But this is Freedom DFW, and we're looking forward to you. You can come to visit us at 701 Harwood Road in Bedford, Texas. We got 4 experiences right now. I don't know if I should thank you or blame you for that one.
That one might be on me.
But we got 4 experiences that we're doing. So it's 8 a.m., 9:45, 11:30, and 1:15.
I love it. What's next for Freedom Church?
Man, you gotta pray. We're in a studio apartment with like 8 kids, and so we need to bust out of this building, and God's got to bless us with something bigger. And so we're in the process of looking at that right now. So just be praying for us that we have found the right spot, and that it's not our will but His.
What would you say to a pastor that's considering using ChurchCandy?
First thing I'd ask them is to assess like why you want more people in your church, right? A lot of times we want more people in our church because it makes us feel good. It's an ego boost. Maybe it does something to make us feel validated. But I don't think that's the reason why our church should grow. We talked about numbers earlier, and the truth of the matter is the reason why we want more people is because we want to see more souls saved. We want to see more people coming to know Jesus. And with that, if that's your motivation, then adding ChurchCandy is a partner that you add when you say, hey, listen, we've done what we can do in the areas and arenas that we know to do it. We need a partner that's going to help us to reach people in this area. So I tell you, it's worth the investment. You need to think about like how it is that you're going to use them as a partner, as a ministry team member, so that you can reach those people that God has actually called you to. And here's the thing. If you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know if I can afford it, I don't know if I can do this, really understand that you can afford not to, and that the actual ministry pays for itself.
Amen. All right. Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.